So now we're going to see how to work with text in Excel. And to do that, we're going to work with the concatenate function. So we'll see how the concatenate function works. And that's a little bit of a hard word for me to say. and Excel has its limits. So we're going to see that here. But I want to show you a little bit about working with concatenate and how you could concatenate or combine pieces of text. So to do that, I have this file 078 func concatenate, which I already have open right here. So I'm going to open that up, and I have a poem here by Pablo Neruda, which I will zoom in on that, and you can pause this video right now if you'd like to read it. I really like this this poem. It sort of talks about, you know, my favorite line in here, what we know is so little, and what we presume is so much. It's a poem, it's poetic, but I like it. So there you go. That's the poem. We'll work with that in a second, but first let me just show you the basics of concatenate. To do that, I'm going to create a new sheet and then rename this one and call it concatenate and give it a pretty color, and we'll give this color yellow, tab color. Yellow, sweet. And so let's say I have some text here, hello in one cell and world in another. I can go to my formulas, go to my text formulas, and then choose concatenate, and I could say, okay, take this and concatenate it with this, and that gives me hello world, all as one little, all as one word. There's no space between those. I'll zoom in on that, zoom to selection, right? Well, the next thing that I might try doing is going back to formulas, going to text, getting concatenate, and saying, okay, I want this one, and then here I want a space, and you represent that with a space like that, and now I want this one right there. So take a look at that formula. I have concatenate B4 space C4, and that puts the space in. Another way I could do this would be equals that, ampersand this. That's the shortcut for concatenate. And I could also do that with a space, that, ampersand, that, right? And so it's going to combine all that together, and I'll get hello world. All right, so now for playing with this Pablo Neruda poem, and this is just sort of some preview stuff. We've already seen some of the things I'm going to show you, but this is where Excel hits its limit. And so you could do some stuff with it, but to like concatenate a whole bunch of things together, that's really laborious, because what you cannot do is you can't do concatenate and then say, hey, concatenate, see, it's a hard word for me to say, those two things together. That's not going to work. It's just going to give you hello. So that doesn't work. You can't do a range. You have to specify each word, each thing individually. Total pain. So then you just have to get creative and find workarounds or move to programming. And so I'm going to, you know, copy that, and I'm going to break this apart. So I'll call this broken apart. And I'll give this the color red, because red, I don't know, maybe broken apart's a good thing. Let yourself be ground, be crumbled, so that wildflowers may come up where you are. So now I'm going to break this apart. First thing I'll do is right-click it, go to Format Cells, and then I'm going to not wrap that text. So that's no longer wrapped. And I'll bring this column width in, and then I'll select that cell with the text. No text in that cell. It's only in this cell. I'll select that, and I will go to Data, and here's the preview stuff, and choose Text to Columns. And I like showing this many times in a course, because it's really useful knowing how to take data in a cell and break it apart. And so, you know, this text to data, text to columns right here is really useful. I'm going to hit delimited, because I have delimiters in there, and the delimiter is a space. Notice it's going to put each word in its own column. I can hit finish. Now I have that poem broken up into individual words. If I wanted to, I could come here and go to formulas and just insert a function and search for count. And I'm going to need count A. Count A. So I put in count A to count all. And I'm going to select all this. And a real quick shortcut for doing that is to hold down Control, which means I'm going to go flying to the end of my data or the beginning of the next data when I press an arrow key, and then hold down Shift, which means I'm going to select what I fly over. Hold down Control Shift, hit the right arrow, flies all the way to the end, selects it all. I've got B4 through colon JD4, that range selected. I hit OK. There's 263 words in that poem. Cool. All right, so now that I have that poem all broken apart, we'll see what we could do to put it back together. And I'm going to create a copy of Broken Apart, and we'll rename this Putting Back Together, because there'll be a step where we're putting it back together, and we'll give this kind of like a lighter green color because we're kind of in process. And now we're ready to put this back, to start working on putting this back together. Well, concatenating those one word at a time, where we do something like that, and a space, and that is going to take us a long time. So a better way to do that is to start using some of the things we know. So the first thing I'm going to do is select all this, copy it. That was Control-Shift, right arrow to go all the way to the end. And now I'm going to transpose it. So I'll go right-click and paste special, and I'm going to choose transpose right there. And so now I've got that all vertical. And what I want to do is I want to concatenate this with a space. So on my keyboard, I'm just going to hit a space. That's it, a single space. And now I'm going to concatenate that together. It equals this with that and this. So now I have that word with a space. And now I'm going to copy that. Well, first I'll just copy this all down. Select those two, Control-C, come all the way over here, come over here, hold down Control, down arrow, come over, hold Shift, right arrow, select that two, hold down Control, up arrow, select that whole range, and then Control-V, and that would paste both the space and the word, right, over all this, relative reference. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to hit Escape, come back up to the top. You could watch that again and write down those keyboard shortcuts, or you could just do it this way. Select those two and autofill. Cool, so there we are. So now that filled it all in, and we should have spaces after everything. So now I'll copy all of this, and again, I could just drag over it to select it, or Control-Shift, down arrow, Control-C, copy it, and then come up to the top. Come up to the top. I didn't get it all, so let's do this again. Control-Shift, down arrow, Control-C, come back up to the top, and then right here I'm going to paste his value. Paste special, paste his value. Cool? Because this was a formula, and now this is a value, and if I click there, it's the word with a space after it. I will now copy all this, Control-C, and we're almost done putting it back together. So we're going to create one more worksheet, and we'll call this one Back Together. And again, it's not that you need to know all this, but I'm just illustrating that Excel can only take you so far, and then you have to get creative with it. Lean on what you already know how to do. Like here, we transposed. Scroll to the whole top of this. We transposed this to there, and then we concatenated this together with a space, and then we pasted it as a value to get all that. And so what I'm going to do now is, one thought I had was like, can I just paste this in here and will the text come in? And no, it doesn't come in. Next thought I have is, can I paste it into my, and this is just a little trick that you learn when you hang out with people like me. I learned it from others, but can I paste it in here and just get the text, right? Let me come back and make sure I'm copied. So copy this, Control-C, come back here, Control-V. Cool, I pasted all that text there, and it's looking like it's pretty put back together. So Control-A, Control-X to copy that. And I think maybe I could just drop that in. I'm all done. Nope. It's still broken into words, so my next trick, and little tricks, that's what they are, is to try pasting in there, and voila. Right? So massaging it, getting it to do what we want, putting it back together. The point of all that isn't to, freak you out. And the point of that isn't to impress you. The point of that is to show you how Excel only goes so far. And you can lean on what you know, right? You can lean on what you know. So we broke it apart, and then we took it, copied it, and transposed it, and then we concatenate together the space, and then we pasted special as values, and then we copied that, and we tried to drop it straight into here. It didn't work. I went to my Chrome and I pasted it in here and I got it. I tried to put that back in Excel. It didn't work. But then I was able to put it back into there and it did go through, right? And so that's just the workarounds. And those little tricks are good to know about, like taking text from Excel and dropping it into the browser bar and then copying it back out just to kind of get it horizontal or to get it back to text, or then to take it in here and drop it in here to get it into one cell, because this is like what's in one cell, right? When you put something in the formula bar, that's what's in that one cell. And so those little tricks could be helpful. And, you know, not necessary to learn, but good to know about. And if I was you, I'd make a note of it. I would make a note of that. And so maybe I'll have a hands-on exercise where there's a challenge to break a poem apart. All right, main takeaway from this video, though, for the beginner level is just concatenating. We got two words here. We could concatenate them together like that, or with a space, or we could use the ampersand like these right here, right? There are those formulas right there. So that's the main takeaway from this video, is just doing that stuff right there.